Okay, in this video we're going to be working on the sides and bending them to shape of the body. But at the end of the last video I said I was putting aside the transverse brace, the last brace on the top, until later because I had something to think about. Well, I've thought about that now, so I'm going to do that first so we complete this. So we'll just do this first, which is not a big job. The last brace goes across here is a transverse brace. Now, I think I explained earlier that the body has a 28-foot radius across here and across that way, but the radius only comes to about here. The area here will be flat, so that brace will not be sanded with the curve in it. The reason for that is the fingerboard comes down on top of the neck and it comes down all the way down here and is a flat area. If it's curved in any way, if it goes up here, the strings run over it and they want to stay at a constant height, and you can't bend the strings up flat and in line with the neck when it's joined on. So the reason I had something to think about was in the neck there's a reinforcement bar called a truss rod that can be adjusted to put tension in the neck that works against the strings, because the strings tend to bend the neck forward and it can push back, and there's two ways to do that. Either you take it out through the headstock, which is the normal thing for big commercial guitars, but that leaves you with quite a weak headstock. Anybody that's had a Gibson will be aware of how easy they break off if you drop. For me, this is easier to do it through the sound hole, which is a more traditional way to do it, and it leaves the headstock stronger. But it's where we have access to that because it's just below. If the body's this way up, it just goes just below there because it's just behind the soundboard, the adjustment screw, and it'll be about here. It'll actually be around 4 or 5 mil underneath the soundboard, which is the other side of here. So we've got about 3 mil here and a gap on here. Actually, that's 5 to 6 mil. So we want it about 3 mil up into this brace. So now I know that I can actually do that brace and glue it in, and then we'll have finished on all the bracing for the top. So that's what we're going to do first today. We need to cut it out with a new bit of wood, so we'll get on with doing that. Pencil's following the grain line rather than the scratch. That should be accurate enough. We're cutting it slightly oversized and then we'll plane it down to size. Okay, so this is quite a heavy brace compared with the rest of them. We actually want it 13 wide and I've cut it to 17 there. 17 there, I'm trying to go for about 15, but and it's 25 high, so we want it 13 wide and 22 high. So that's going to be planing down. This goes along here, I think from memory. Let's give it a little bit of hope. I think this is something like 57 centimetres. So I had, just check that. Yeah, that's 27, and this is still oversized. So we will cut that down. And the reason I chose this bit I want to take it from is this gives me enough to make another one later. I had a shorter piece of block wood, but I've had an offcut that was unusable then. And yeah, I know I'll make another one because this guitar, and I don't know if I said, but this is my first guitar. The wood I got was very budget tone wood for a guitar, and it's very much a learning exercise, and it's something I expect to make mistakes on, and the next one hopefully will be better and with maybe better quality wood. Two, 22 we're there. Right, bit of an explanation here. Okay, now this goes across here, and its main purpose is to reinforce this area, because this is the neck joins in here on a block. Any twist in the neck will push down here, and any pressure, so it's to resist anything like that. The fingerboard comes over here on the south, let's strengthen all that. Now traditionally these would be tapered down at the edges and be full size in the middle. Now I saw an explanation by another guitar maker, Chris from Driftwood Guitars in Florida, who like me trained as an engineer and studied structural engineering and studied forces and things, and it made no sense, because this is where it ties into the sides, and this is where your strength comes from. And if you make it hit thin here, you weaken it. We're not trying to do the same thing we're doing with these about resisting splitting and just stiffening and audio. This is locked solid. So I'm going to do the same as he does, which is keep them high at the ends, which gives you maximum contact and strength there, and then take the weight out down here. So we're going to take it down to 11 mil in the middle, or thereabouts. It's about half the height of it. So we'll start marking this out now. Let's put that somewhere over there safe. There, that's the light. That's there, and that's there. So we also want the halfway point on it, because we're going to put an access hole in. So it's 270 is 135. Come on, the square. Okay, let's see where this fits on the body here. Goes there. Inch there, so about there's where it's full height. So we're going to reduce the thickness of this down. I'm going to drill it first, but I just want to mark it out for where we're going to reduce it. So you've gone. Let's see my line. That's 90, so we'll do the same. There. So what's that? That's 11. So we need there. Just trying to draw this out so as like anything on the guitar, it's not really precise, but what I want is a curve on there to bring that down. We'll actually do this with one of the sanding bobbins. Now, next thing I need is I'm going to reinforce this, so I'm just going to get some. Okay, these are the offcuts from the bridge plate. They are Indian rosewood, and anything like this I'll keep because partly it's quite expensive and rare wood. I believe the only reason we can get this now is for instrument making under CITES regulations. But what I'm going to do is I need to make a plate to fit on there. So I think I'll probably get it out of that bit. So what we'll do is trim that down. Where's my saw? Let's do that on there. Okay, and we want that 11mm high. And then we are going to find a straight edge. And it goes on the floor. Okay, and we're going to glue that on and leave it for an hour. This does a couple of things really. It's a strong hardwood, whereas this is a soft wood, so it adds strength where we're thinning this down, we're cutting the hole. But also when people are accessing it to adjust the truss rod, it will resist damage from Allen keys and things better than softwood would be. So it's just strengthening there. And to be honest, it probably looks like a nice touch. It's, you know, it's got an aesthetic aspect to it. Okay, we'll leave that for an hour. Just okay, we've got the brace here. I had a little problem with it when I came to it earlier, in that I left it for about an hour and it twisted under the protection, so I had to take it off and re-glue it and put it back on. But now we'll mark it out, drill it, and we'll start shaping this brace and get it onto the top. That's 11, so 5.5. So we're now going to put a hole through this before we go any further. Small plane, so we'll use this one. That's basically the shape. It just needs a bit of hand sanding now on it. So okay, there we have our brace. This can now be clamped onto the top, and then that will see the end of the top. So now you'll notice I've turned over the radius dish, so we've got a flat surface, as we don't want this to be bowed, as I was explaining earlier. Now you see I've got the lines marked out on here already, so all we're going to do is glue this down and get the hole over the centre line. You can do this without it moving. The problem is, in gluing and clamping things, the glue acts as a lubricant and it slips all over the place if you're not careful. Hopefully that will stay there and not move anymore. Try and not disturb that now until tomorrow. Okay, so these are the two pieces for the sides. As you can see, I'm just trying to work out which what I want is the outside and the inside. They've both they're symmetrical to each other. They were cut like that from a piece of wood and bookended in the same way, but we don't join them like that. They're going to be used like that. So I don't think that side has got as much detail in it. I think this side is the better pattern. You can see a bit that they're not very square at the moment, and that way they're worse, so I'm going to plane them a bit to get that near. It doesn't really matter because we're going to trim them a bit on the bandsaw, because a guitar has a taper to it from it's narrower at the headstock than it is at the tail at the bottom of the guitar. Not very much, but for two reasons. One, it looks better that way, it looks less chunky, and the second reason is that you don't really want two flat sides opposing each other in an acoustic thing, because you get reflected echoes, so it's to try and eliminate that. So yeah, we're just going to start by planing this to get it a bit more square. I think that's a lot better now. Yeah, you can see it's not perfect, but it's near enough square. We're going to do the same on the other side, just a few passes, just to give you something to measure to. So this is dipping in the middle there, and you'll see the plane's just not touching it. 'Cause having a nice long plane blade like this, it'll just take the ends off first and level it naturally. It's a lot closer, but I don't want to take too much off because we're, as I say, we're going to cut taper into it on the bandsaw. So we'll start marking that out. So I want to cut these two the same. So the easiest way to do it is to tape them together. So we're going to I'm doing this way round because that edge seems to have the most detail and figuring in, and this the least, so I'll cut off the one that's got the least detail in it. I'm going to cut them to the dimensions of the overall guitar, so they'll be about 1/4 inch too big because of the back and the front, but that just leaves us enough to work on. So okay, it's a bit right there, but that's not bad. So I think for that I need to reconfigure things now to get to my bandsaw, because I'm going to do quite a long cut on this, so I need to move the massive amount of space here. Okay, that's the two pieces cut with the taper. Now the next problem is they are a bit too thick. They are 4.7 mil, and I really want them about 3.2 mil. So I'm going to take about 1/3 of them off. So we're back to a lot of planing again. The people that do this all the time always seem to use the same machine for thinning them down, which is a drum sander. Unfortunately, they're quite large things. It'll take up more space than I've got, and they start around £3,000 it seems, or £2,000 to £3,000. So they're a bit at the cost of my entire rest of my tools that I bought for this. So at the moment I'm doing without it, and of course guitars have been built since the 1850s, and they didn't have drum sanders in the 1850s, so this is how they did it then. So here we go, we'll clamp it down and start planing. Right, I'm not going to plane the finished side at all, so we're just going to take it all off the inside, because that's flat enough. It's got some machine planing marks in, but they'll all come out when I sand for the finish. So. This is going to be another long, tedious planing session, so I will fast forward through this when we. Cross plane this and go. Okay. Three 3.5, 3.8, 3.8, 3.8, 3.9, 3.9. Okay, we're getting there. This side now. I think we've got to be getting pretty close. Three, 4, 3, 3, 3, 1, 6. 312, 316, 3, 32. Okay, that's near enough in general directions. I'm going to take a little break and turn you off for that. I'll probably do the other one, come back and do the other one, but not film it. Okay, we're ready to now start bending the sides. You can't see on the camera, but I've got them soaking in water down there. They've been soaking for about an hour, this is the eating iron that will bend them on. So let's get one out and make a start. Wipe the excess water off. I'm very nervous about this because I've never done this before. I really don't want to get it wrong. So I've marked out the waist, and I'm just trying to make sure I bend it the right way. Inside, that's going to be the outside, yes, so that goes inwards. So a pair of gloves to stop me burning myself while I do this. Inwards, and it's that side one we're doing first. So yeah. I'm just putting gentle pressure on this, and I'll let the wood give as it heats up. It softens the connections. It's starting to bend, but very slowly. That's actually unwinding a bit. So we sort of get it from there a bit more. bit of clamping things. I've got one on the side, right. We'll leave that for now. I may start on the other one, but you've seen me bend that one. I'll take the camera off for now. So I bent the other side as well, and they're both now in the clamp, in the mould, and clamped in to hold them in shape. You can't see very well from this angle, can you? So, but come closer, you can see they overlap a little bit at the moment, but they're pretty much to the shape of the mould. If we look around. And I'll basically let them dry out now, leave them overnight, and see how they set into their shape, because they might relax a bit, they might not be quite fitting, and I might do some tweaking tomorrow, but I think that'll do for today on this.